Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege to be with you here once again. And I must say that the next honoree is a good friend of mine, so this is a special moment for me. Miss Rosa Maria Paya Acevedo is a Cuban democracy activist. She is the founder of the citizen platform Cuba Decide. In 2013, she was chosen as one of the 25 most powerful women by People in Español magazine. She is the winner of the 2019 Morris Abram Human Rights Award granted by UN Watch. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Rosa Maria Paya Acevedo.
Buenas noches. And thank you so much, Kashida, and of course, Damian. Where are you, Damian? Both longtime supporters of the cause of freedom. Estoy muy orgullosa de llamarte amigo mío. Gracias. So I'm truly honored by this recognition from Forward Miami, an organization that is driving the much needed, the very timely mission of promoting something that Damian just explained at the beginning, and I think that is an urgent mission, which is promoting the fight against political polarization, promoting bridging differences. And this is very important, this is crucial for us, because after all, in this country, no matter what party you belong to, every 4 years there is a new dam. But I come from Cuba, as many of you here, a country that is living what has been seen like an eternal night for 6 decades. My father, Osvaldo Paya, who was killed almost 10 years ago, he told us that that night cannot be eternal. And our dawn is near. That was demonstrated last July when hundreds of thousands of Cubans took to the streets demanding freedom, gritando libertad, patria y vida. Cubans of all gender, races, status, religions, everybody was in the streets demanding freedom, but especially the most marginalized, the poorest. The dictator imprisoned over 1,000 peaceful protesters. Many of them have been tortured. Many of them have been held in isolation, as the young artist Luis Manuel Otero Alcántara, or the leader of the opposition, José Daniel Ferrer. Hundreds of them are being sentenced to decades in prison. At least 14 of them are children, younger than 18 years old. We need your voices to set them free. Tonight I am here alongside many Cuba Decide promoters. Our movement has a singular goal: to provide a path for the Cuban people to decide our own future and to transition to democracy in peace. We all have the right to have rights. That's something that my father also said. In Cuba Decide, we defend the rights of all Cubans, including the most marginalized, the more in danger, such as a Cuban of African descent, women, LGBTQ, members of religious communities often persecuted in the island. Taking collective action as a community to end communism in the island is important, not just because when we talk about Cuba, for some of us, we are talking about our family, but because when we defend others' human rights, we are defending our own rights. Empathy. Empathy is not just about affection. Empathy is also about solidarity, and it's mainly about recognizing yourself in others. So taking action to demand the liberation of the political prisoners in Cuba, to bring about democratic change in the island, is also something that we can do to bond as a community. All of us in this room, all of us have the power to shatter the myth that we just heard, that have been crafted by the dictatorship. This is our joint struggle, because the propaganda of a murderous regime have invaded media and culture also here in the United States. A regime that managed to make many in the world believe that they were some beacon for social justice, some medical powerhouse where everybody is equal, when the facts are that members of the Cuban regime elite have sat fat while Cubans starve, when the truth is that the Cuban people suffer one of the most hard COVID outbreaks because of the intentional actions and negligence of the regime, when the truth is that that tourist paradise is a prison for the Cuban people. So taking back the narrative of Cuba is essential. Cuba is much more than a t-shirt of the Che Guevara, a palm tree, or the beard of Fidel Castro. Cuba is the 11 million human beings screaming freedom in the streets. Cuba is also the almost 2 million uprooted Cubans that also are wanting and demanding libertad para nuestra isla. There is a moment in which the freedom-loving people of the world, we must unite against the oppressor. Allyship extended beyond borders to raise a voice for those that have been silenced. Especially within this community, unity must exist for the greater good of all. All, not just the people of the island, because there is not such a thing as an island in the 21st century. The interconnectivity of the world does not allow for that anymore, and that's why the freedom of Cuba is also your freedom. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for this recognition that I can only accept as an acknowledgement of the courage of the Cuban people, and that I dedicate to all the Cuban political prisoners, and especially to our brave kids that are now in jail. Thank you so much. Thank you.